Clark and Stephanie White definitely had a situation where they was in a heated exchange right before halftime. Guys, for this one here, we got to go all the way up to Indy.
Caitlin Clark had finally reached her limit with the chaos. When she confronted Coach Stephanie White at halftime, everything shifted. Completely flipped the script against Atlanta. But what really went down during that fiery halftime exchange, and why did certain teammates suddenly start playing like they actually cared about winning, the answer might surprise you. Here's what I think happened between Caitlin Clark and Coach Stephanie White at halftime. This wasn't just another basketball game in Indianapolis. It was a turning point, a masterclass in how one player, fed up with the chaos, can ignite a fire under an entire franchise. Caitlin had had enough, and when she finally spoke up, everything changed.
Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White exchanged words going into halftime of this Atlanta Dream game. Now, I'm here to tell you, no footage has emerged of the altercation, but I'm pretty sure within a couple hours it's going to be roaming somewhere out there that this
So, here's what we do know. Multiple credible sources who are actually at the game, not just some keyboard warriors on Twitter, witnessed a tense, animated exchange between Caitlin Clark and Coach Stephanie White as they headed into the locker room at halftime. And before you dismiss this as just another overblown internet rumor, hear me out because it actually lines up. Word is, Caitlin straight up told her coach to sit Kelsey Mitchell and Natasha Howard, calling them out for refusing to move the ball. And honestly, good for her. Someone had to speak the truth. Anyone who's watched the Fever this season knows the offense has often looked like a chaotic mess, with little chemistry and even less ball movement. For fans who actually understand the game, it's been rough, and Caitlin finally said what needed to be said.
Clark and Stephanie White were having a heated discussion at halftime. Word in the street is Caitlin Clark told White to sit Kelsey Mitchell and Howard because they don't pass. Could be true. Caitlin went to tie her shoe. Like, that is something that I noticed. Like, Caitlin literally, when Natasha Howard had the ball, she didn't even look. She was basically walking back on defense. She essentially walked back on defense.
Let's talk about what really led to that halftime flashpoint, because it didn't happen in a vacuum. Caitlin Clark isn't some hothead who just blows up out of nowhere. She's been grinding through a motion offense that, frankly, makes no sense for her game. Night after night, she's watched teammates ignore her when she's wide open, all while playing in a system that seems more designed to minimize her impact than to elevate it. And then boom. Halftime against Atlanta. Everything changes. The Fever come out of the locker room and outscore the Dream 59-40 in the second half, their highest scoring half in years. Coincidence? Not likely. That kind of dramatic shift doesn't just happen out of nowhere. Something was said. Something changed. Now here's the part that really raises eyebrows. There's a video circulating from earlier this season. Players are asked who their emergency contact would be. If they were in real trouble, who would they call? Guess who none of them mention? That's right, Caitlin Clark. Every single teammate names someone else. Not one says Caitlin. Now, is that definitive proof of locker room tension? Not necessarily. But given the alleged confrontation at halftime and the sudden shift in team dynamics right after, it paints a pretty compelling picture. It's like watching a puzzle snap into place, and the final image suggests the chemistry on this team has been off for a while. Let's break down what actually changed in that second half. Before the break, it was more of the same. Caitlin getting the ball with 3 seconds left on the shot clock, being looked off despite having better position, and the offense stalling with endless isolation plays. It was disjointed, frustrating basketball. But after halftime, a different team showed up. The ball was moving. Caitlin was getting early touches. Teammates were making the extra pass instead of forcing contested shots. It looked like a team finally starting to play the right way, and that doesn't happen without a spark. Caitlin Clark might have just lit the fuse.
Guys, what was working for you so well, especially in that second half offensively?
Yeah, I thought we just played with a really great pace. I thought we moved the ball. I thought we cut hard, which opened up the three-point line for us, and then we knocked down some shots, but also I thought our defense was really good. So I think it was both sides of the ball, and kind of felt like
bounce-back win for the Fever, and it wasn't just a win, it was a statement. When asked post-game what changed offensively in that explosive second half, Caitlin Clark kept it diplomatic. Yeah, I thought we just played with a really great pace. I thought we moved the ball. I thought we cut hard, which opened up the three-point line for us, and then we knocked down some shots. But also, I thought our defense was really good. It kind of felt like how we should be playing every single game. Translation, That second half was what happens when people start playing unselfish basketball and actually buy into team offense. And the stats back it up: 99 total points, 59 of those in the second half alone, the team's highest scoring half in years. It was like watching a completely different group. But here's the part nobody's really talking about: the sudden changes in the rotation. Natasha Howard, who's had a long leash this season despite a string of questionable on-court decisions, was glued to the bench for most of the fourth quarter. Kelsey Mitchell, who had dropped 22 points by the end of the third, was barely on the floor when it counted most. Some will brush that off as routine coaching adjustments. But let's not kid ourselves. When you've been giving those players heavy minutes all season, through good and bad, and then you suddenly bench them right after a heated halftime exchange reportedly centered around ball movement and selfish play, that's a consequence. Whether it was Caitlin Clark drawing a line in the sand, or Stephanie White finally making the tough calls that had been overdue, something shifted, and based on the results, it was a long time coming.
It was only a matter of time, bro, that Caitlin Clark was going to obviously have words with Stephanie White. We noted that she's been running this motion offense, and Caitlin Clark cannot get in the rhythm. A lot of people thinking Caitlin Clark hurt. I don't believe she's hurt. I believe Caitlin Clark cannot simply get into rhythm. That's why she has not been shooting very well. And I was one of the first people to tell y'all this was going to happen. I told y'all about a week ago, Caitlin Clark was going to come back. And if nothing is going to change, we're going to see the same Caitlin Clark we seen right before injury. And sure enough, this is the same Caitlin Clark we seen right before injury.
The most frustrating part of this whole situation, we've all seen it unfolding for months. Caitlin Clark, who was the most efficient, dynamic offensive player in college basketball, suddenly looks like she's struggling in the pros. And the narrative from some corners is that it's just a normal rookie adjustment or a flaw in her game. But let's be honest, that's a lazy take. Because if you actually watch the games, not just the box scores, you see the truth. Caitlin isn't struggling because she's not ready for the WNBA. She's struggling because she's fighting against a system that doesn't know what to do with her. In college, she was the system. She pushed the pace, had the ball in her hands, and made everyone around her better. She dictated tempo, made reads, created for others, and thrived in space. That was her game. That's what made her elite. Now she's standing in the corner while other players dribble the air out of the ball. She's getting passes with 2 seconds on the shot clock and being told to create something. That's not development. That's sabotage. This isn't on Caitlin Clark. This is on a franchise that doesn't seem to understand what it has or how to build around it, and calling it anything less than organizational malpractice is letting them off easy.
Threes in your last 7 games, but tonight 4 of 5. What got you into the groove tonight in this game?
Thought I should do something tonight.
You certainly did something. The 10 rebounds.
And the sad part, when they finally let Caitlin Clark play her game, the results were undeniable. That 59-point second half didn't happen because Kelsey Mitchell suddenly turned into Steph Curry. It happened because, for once, the Fever actually played through their best player. They gave Caitlin the ball early in possessions, moved off it, and let her control the tempo the way she did so masterfully in college. The offense opened up, teammates got easier looks, and everything started to flow. But here's where it gets really interesting. After the game, Caitlin was the picture of professionalism, gracious, poised, and complimentary toward her teammates. She talked about moving the ball, playing with pace, and cutting hard. On the surface, it sounded like typical post-game cliches. But if you know how to read between the lines, it was something more, a masterclass in diplomatic criticism, because those things she praised, ball movement, cutting, tempo, were precisely what had been missing in the first half. And honestly, what's been missing for much of the season. Every compliment carried with it an unspoken finally. She was saying, without saying, this is what happens when we stop playing selfish basketball and start doing things the right way. And then there's the elephant in the room, the coaching situation. Let's be clear, this isn't about trashing Stephanie White. She's an experienced basketball mind with a solid track record, and she earned her way into this job. But sometimes, good coaches and great players don't fit. That's not a personal failure, it's a reality of professional sports. The problem isn't that White is a bad coach. The problem is that the system she insists on running, a motion offense that might work with a balanced, pass-first roster, is a terrible fit for this particular group. Caitlin Clark isn't a cog in a motion system. She's a player who creates systems, who bends defenses, opens the floor, and makes others better just by being involved in the action. Minimizing her touches is not just inefficient, it's malpractice. And let's talk about the supporting cast. Kelsey Mitchell is a gifted scorer, but she's been forced into a role that demands she create difficult shots instead of thriving as a secondary option off Caitlin's playmaking. That's not on Kelsey. That's on how the team is being deployed. A system built around Clark's strengths would unlock Kelsey, not sideline her. Same with others. Oh yeah, the second half wasn't a fluke. It was a glimpse into what this team could be if they stop trying to force a system that doesn't work and start building around the generational talent they have. Because the truth is, this isn't about potential anymore, it's about willingness to change.